Welcome to Create the Best Me. I am Carmen Hecox, a personal development coach, and I am so excited to be connecting with you today. Whether you're listening to the podcast or joining us on YouTube, my goal is to help women navigate through midlife challenges with compassion, inspiration, and empowering conversation. Each week, we'll dive into thought-provoking topics designed to build self-confidence, overcome invisible woman syndrome, and find the courage to create the best version of yourself. I'll also be joined by expert guests who will share the wisdom and insights. So make yourself comfortable and let's embark on this journey together. Well, hello there, fearless midlife trailblazers. Welcome to Create the Best Me. If you are new here, I am so glad you made it here. If you're a returning listener, welcome back to the one and only place where we encourage and empower women in midlife to pursue their dreams and live life to the fullest. My name is Carmen Hecox, and I am your host and personal development coach. Today's guest is Lori Seitz, founder and CEO of Zen Rabbits and the host of Fine is a Four-Letter Word podcast. Lori is an award-winning author, speaker, broadcaster who is on a mission to teach the world to be calm and grounded no matter what's going on. Lori is often sought by high achievers who have a strong drive to be productive, but at the end of the day feel like they're unable to accomplish enough. Lori guides high achievers, entrepreneurs, and business leaders from being stressed and chaotic to living a peaceful and focused and more sabbatical life. Today, Lori is going to share some of her tips and tricks to help us discover how to live a more balanced life. Let's jump into the conversation now. Hello and welcome, Lori Seitz, to Create the Best Me. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, Lori, believe it or not, there might be people out there that don't know who you are. Can you tell the listeners and viewers who you are and what you do?
Who I am. Wow. So much. So I'll start out with saying that I am the CEO and founder of a company called Zen Rabbit. And like you said, I am the host of a podcast called Fine is a Four-Letter Word. And I am on a mission to teach the world to be calm and grounded no matter what's going on around them.
And for some of the people that may be interested in listening to your podcast, when does your podcast air and where can people find you?
Yeah, it's a weekly podcast. New episodes are published every Thursday morning. And it's available on all the regular podcast platforms. Like wherever you're listening to this show, you can find my show as well.
And are you also on YouTube as well?
Not yet.
Today you are.
There is a YouTube channel, but my show is not on it yet. And I know I've been talking with so many people about how important it is to put it up there. And I'm coming up on 100 episodes, so I have a lot of work to do to get updated.
Well, I guess then we can call this your slow open to YouTube.
Yes, there we go. Right.
Perfect. So the reason why I asked you to come on the show is because I believe that there are many women like me who need to quiet their mind, need to practice gratitude so that they can achieve their goals. And you're kind of an expert in that arena.
I am. We've been so conditioned to believe that hard work is the path to success. We've been programmed with that since birth. And so that's what we do. We go to work. Whether it's your own business or you're working for someone else and you work 1 million hours a week and then you come home and do more work, or you come out of your office and you do more work and 18-hour days, you go to bed still feeling like you haven't accomplished enough. And that if you ever take a break, you're being a slacker, and slow down, relax, recharge. I'll do that when the work is done, but the work is never done. And that is what leads to all the burnout and overwhelm and stress that we see around us.
Yeah, and I think that it doesn't matter whether you're passionate about what you're doing, you can still be a victim of being burned out.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there myself. I mean, this is the irony of it, right? I teach people how to tap into feeling gratitude, finding their inner voice, doing meditation, like doing all the things so that they don't feel like that. And yet at about this time last year, I was running my business, doing all the things, not getting the results that I thought I should be getting. I'm putting should in air quotes. So my solution to that was to do more of them. It's not working, so let me do more of it. And that didn't work either. And then I finally woke up and then went, wait a second. I'm doing all these things. I'm not getting where I think I would expect to be at this point, and I'm not having fun. I'm done. I'm done doing all the things. I still loved my business. I wasn't giving up on it, but I decided that I had to stop and take a sabbatical, is what I called it, to go have fun. Because I believe that life is about experiences and having fun. Like that's what we're here for.
Yeah. It's a balance. You have to work, but you also have to incorporate playing per se. Playing, having fun, doing something outside of work. And in my opinion, I think it's to build up your creativity, because creativity comes from engaging in something that's totally not even related to what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's actually required for success. That's the piece that we have wrong. We think it's all about work, work, work. But that play piece, that time to recharge, that is actually required for true success. Yes, you can, everybody has their own definition of success. You can reach financial success or like the pinnacle of the business world by not doing those things, but at what cost? How are you physically, mentally, emotionally? What do your relationships look like when you get there? And are you fulfilled by that? Most people would say no. So to have true success, which is joyful, you have to take that time to recharge and to play and to give yourself like time to do nothing. I just finished reading this book called Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. And in it, he talks about the criticalness, is that a word? How critical it is to have that time, to allow yourself that time to do nothing, because that is when you get creative. That's when ideas come to you. And just like sitting and literally doing nothing, like staring out the window, sitting on a beach or at a park or whatever it is, certainly not on your electronics, and just allowing yourself thoughts to come and go. And that's when that creativity and bubbles up. And that's when you also can be more focused when you go back to actually do something.
And that's really interesting that you say that, because I was telling my husband, I need a whiteboard or something in the shower, because that's where my inspiration comes. I'm in the shower, the water is hitting me, and all of a sudden it's just like these thoughts just come skyrocketing into my head.
Yeah, that's great, because you're allowing yourself the freedom. A lot of people talk about getting great ideas in the shower or when they're out for a run or when they are doing things that allow them to be unfocused.
So can you tell us about your journey and how you became a transformational coach?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the word coach, but I use it because that's what people identify, like they understand that term. I really see myself more as a guide or a mentor, but most of the time mentors don't get paid and I do. So I guess yeah, there's that. Well, where did it start? So as an entrepreneurial journey, let me back up. So my mom took my brother and me to a meditation course when I was 10 years old. It was really a gift. That course is now known as the Silva Method, and it's taught by Mindvalley. I mention it because Vishen Lakhiani is the founder of Mindvalley. And interestingly enough, his introduction to meditation was also the Silva Method when he was a kid. So now his organization is the one that teaches the Silva Method. I don't have any association or affiliation with them, just throwing it out there. I'm actually going through it right now, again, like going through the course as a refresher. Anyway, so I had this background, but I didn't practice it. I got this foundation, but then I never practiced meditation consistently for like the next 35 years. So, I started my first business in 2003 and I was making a product called the Gratitude Cookie. which is based on a family recipe, kind of a cross between a butter and a sugar cookie. And my background, it has been in marketing. I took this product and marketed it as a way for businesses to say thank you to their clients and their referral sources. 11 years of running that business, couldn't scale it the way I wanted to. And if I'm being truthful, I say I couldn't scale it. I couldn't get it profitable. All right, let's just be honest here. Couldn't get it to turn a profit.
So it was more like a hobby as opposed to a business, even though it was intended to be a business.
Yeah, that's what my accountant said. No, I was working it like a business though. It just wasn't, I couldn't. Yeah. Anyway, in hindsight, there were things I could have done differently. Of course, we can see that. But so I decided to shut it down. And at that same time, my mom was diagnosed with an acute form of leukemia and passed away 6 weeks later. And that's when I started looking. Yeah, I mean, so much packed into that time frame. And so here I am mourning the loss, I'm not a big fan of this term loss when somebody passes away, because I believe they're still there. I didn't lose them. But mourning the death of my business and my mom at the same time. And asking myself, do I want to live the next 20 years the same way I've lived the last 20? And, not that the last 20 were terrible. They were fine. And now you see where the name comes from for my show and my program. Everything was fine. When everything is fine, it's so hard to make a change.
Why change it? Why change it? It's working.
It's sort of working. It's not working. But it's not, I don't feel passion for it, or I'm not super excited to jump out of bed every morning and get into my day. There was a lot that wasn't working. So then the next question is, what am I going to do differently? Yeah. And so a few years after that, what I decided I was going to do differently was leave my marriage after 22 years. And and almost 20, I think it was like 28 years together. So most of my adult life with this person who was fine. Like, he's an amazing human. I have nothing bad to say about him, and he would say nothing bad about me. And all of our friends are still friends with each other. And but the relationship was not serving either one of us anymore. It was fine. That's
it. It was just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's really been my journey around. So I shut down that business. I started another business teaching networking strategies to quiet people, because that's what I had to learn when I started the first business, of how do you walk into a room full of people in a networking situation at a conference or wherever and start conversations with people that you don't know. It's very intimidating for some people, including it was for me. And I know there's a lot of other people who feel that way. So I was teaching that, then pandemic, nobody's going anywhere. And that's when I transitioned into teaching or sharing or doing what I'm doing now, which is helping people find calmness and groundedness, no matter what's going on around them, as well as finding what really lights them up.
And I think that's really important, especially in today's world, because we have so many things coming at us, so many overdue to-do lists that we need to get to, and so many goals that we have planned for ourselves, and we just haven't gotten to them just yet because there's just so much coming at us. And I think that it's important to be able to quiet ourselves down and be able to focus on those things that make us not just fine, but better than fine.
Right. And it's a matter of making time for them. And this is why in the first part of my course, the F Being Fine course, we dive into what are your core values, and do those values match what's on your calendar? For example, if you say family is one of your top values, but you don't make any time to spend time with them, there's a disconnect.
Yeah, they're just there and you're claiming them, but you're not really embracing the joy of having them.
Well, you're not putting your, what's that phrase? Putting your money where your mouth is. That's an odd phrase now that I'm saying it and thinking about it. But you're not doing what you say is important to you. You're not giving it, you say it's a top value, but you're not actually giving it value in your daily life.
That's kind of more like up on the shelf collecting dust.
Right. Right. Did you ever hear that story there's a story about a professor who was teaching a class about priorities, or he was teaching a lesson on priorities, and he took the rocks in a glass jar and asked them like what rocks, different size rocks, all the way down to sand. And he started putting the biggest rocks in first, and then some smaller rocks, and then some pebbles, and then some sand. But if he had started with the sand, there wouldn't have been any room for the bigger rocks. Like you have to start with those big rocks, those top values, and put those into your life first. Otherwise, there's no room for them.
Yeah. It's kind of like we all live the dream. We say, okay, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have children, and I'm going to have a job. But most of us, I would think that most of us probably spend more time with our job as opposed to the things that we told ourselves, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have children, and I'm going to have a job. But the job suddenly becomes top priority because we say that the job is going to bring me money to take care of my family. The job is going to provide me the opportunity to have a home, to have things for my family.
Right.
But then the job kind of becomes the number one thing.
Right. Yeah. It's a means. You start out looking at it as a means to an end, but it becomes the main thing.
Yeah. And I think it's not just women that do that. I think that men do that just as much because we look at a lot of people with high divorce rates.
Right. And I don't think it's only people who have a job, even entrepreneurs, business owners, same thing. The business becomes the priority. And that's when relationships start falling apart. And I can look at when I was running that first business, I did that. And that certainly did not help my marriage. So, yeah.
I think we think if I can just reach this level, or if I just get this one thing done, then I can go reward myself with my family.
Yeah.
Or my husband. If I just do this, just let me accomplish this one more thing. Ooh, girl, you're talking to me.
Yeah. I mean, when you stop and think about it, it doesn't make any sense. And when you go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, it's not actually helping you be more successful. It's taking away because you're not allowing yourself to do the thing that fuels you. So you're always going to be depleted.
Sucks the joy out of where you thought that the joy was going to come because I want to do this. This is what resonates with me. This is what gives me joy. But then you're putting in too much into that the joy no longer lives in that desire.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been a professional athlete or really even a sort of amateur athlete, but that when you are playing the game for the joy of it, when you turn professional, then it's not as much fun anymore. I mean, it happens a lot. It can still be fun for some people, but for a lot of them, it now is a job and it's not fun anymore.
And I think it's maybe because you start competing with others or you start holding a certain standard. This is where I have to be at. And if you can't reach that, maybe your body just can't do that. The joy's gone. Yeah. There's no passion behind that sport anymore. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
So you talked about the first part of your program is aligning your values.
Right. In the first session, we work on values and how to make decisions, how to make good decisions. But we start with that values thing. So in my program, so it's called F Being Fine, but under that, there's a framework is called the Trilogy for Success. And the trilogy is gratitude, connections, and courage. So we get into the whole concept of gratitude and using gratitude as a way to see the world. Gratitude. So a lot of us I think babies are born naturally grateful. Do you think?
I think so. They're happy. They come out crying. But when you look at them, they giggle, they smile.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're born naturally grateful, but society takes that away from us or conditions it out of us because then we come into a world that teaches us to pay attention to distractions and everything that is screaming for your attention, which tends to be negative, complaining, criticizing, distracting you from who you truly are. And so the truth is, what you focus on, you will get more of. So when you are focused on complaints and criticism, you will attract more of that to you. That's energetically how we work. That's science. So when you are finding gratitude, you will be in a state where you're attracting more of that to you as well. So so how do you become a more naturally grateful person if that's not your nature? It's been trained out of you, you're out of practice. How do you get into that habit? I do believe gratitude is a habit. So just yesterday or the day before, I saw an article on Yahoo News about Rick Allen, who's the drummer for Def Leppard. Are you a Def Leppard fan?
I am.
So I didn't know that he had been attacked in like a personal assault in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in March. But the article was about it was about the attack and how he's recovered and he wasn't badly hurt, but he says in the article, he immediately went to gratitude and was thankful for his family and for his higher power. And I forget, he might have called it God, but he immediately went to gratitude. That means he's been practicing gratitude, because when something like that happens, typically somebody will go to anger, retaliation, or maybe why did this happen to me? You have to be trained to find gratitude in your regular life to go to gratitude in a situation like that. So I admire him for that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember this because you and I are about pretty close to the same age.
Yeah.
Rick Allen, he was already with Def Leppard, and then he had that tragic accident in which he lost his arm. And so I think that had he not already been practicing gratitude, we wouldn't even be talking about him today, because you and I were probably 9 or 10 years old when that happened.
You know what? No, this is interesting. He's pretty close to our age. I didn't realize that. The article said, so he's 59.
You're kidding me. Because my girlfriend, Dr. Jen, she interviewed him. And for some reason, I was thinking that Rick Allen was a little older. I didn't know that he was.
I did too. But this article, I'm pretty sure it said he was 59. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't realize he was that close in age. But maybe. Anyway, yes. So he's already been through many experiences that would have put him in that mindset. But again, not everybody adopts it. It's available to everybody, but not everybody goes there.
Yeah. But I think it has a lot to do with his wife, Lauren, because Lauren is a massage therapist and there's a lot of peace to her.
Yeah.
And I know that she helped him through that healing. That's kind of how they met. And so I think also, one, he practiced gratitude, but it was also he had a support system that helped him adopt that gratitude or maybe bring him back to gratitude.
Yeah, he mentioned her too. So I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah. And that's often how it is too, though. Somebody in a relationship, whether it's a partner or a friend or somebody, brings this into somebody else's awareness. And so that's part of what I'm doing, is bringing this into people's awareness of how can you be more grateful. And so one of the things that I teach my clients is this exercise called the But I'm Grateful For exercise. And I don't know where I picked it up, but everybody's attributing it to me now. So I'm cool with that. So here's what it is. Next time you catch yourself complaining or criticizing, and you will, because we're human, like it's part of what we do. Don't beat yourself up for it. Just catch yourself and say, but I'm grateful for, but I'm grateful for. And it doesn't even have to be related to the thing that you're complaining about. Like, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm going to be late. But I'm grateful I had a really good cup of tea this morning. Like, it doesn't have to be, but I'm grateful I'll get there safely. It doesn't have to be related to the complaint. It's just a way of shifting your energy and your mind space.
Grateful for the little things, because like you talked about, all the little pebbles stack up to the big rocks in that container analogy that you used.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, that's the gratitude piece.
Perfect. And so then what comes next?
The second pillar is that connection, and where we talk about connection to your family, your friends, your community. Most importantly, though, the connection to your inner voice, the connection to yourself and your inner voice, and creating a space to be able to hear it, because we are so distracted by all these outer voices in, again, same people you want to be connected to, potentially family, friends, community, and then traditional media, social media, all of these outside influences telling you what to do, who you should be, what they want you to be, and you start losing connection to yourself. And that's where you most feel, oh yeah, everything's fine, but it's fine, but there's this undercurrent of suck. And you're kind of like, I don't know where that's coming from or what to do about it. It's coming primarily from the fact that you have not been listening to your own inner voice. And that can be called intuition. You can call it whatever you want, but it's about making space for it. And that requires some quiet time. And a lot of people are really uncomfortable with quiet time.
And so how does someone adopt quiet time into their life? Because it is an eerie feeling to be quiet.
Yeah. It's about being intentional, about making the time. And it doesn't have to be necessarily like silent time. Because, I talk about meditation a lot, and I teach people, and I create meditations. And a lot of times I hear from people that, I tried meditation. I'm not good at it. I can't quiet the thoughts in my head. I can't make them stop. That is not required for meditation. So when we say getting quiet, it doesn't mean that all the thoughts are going to just magically disappear from your head, because not a lot of people can do that. So even people who've been meditating for years, thoughts are going to come and go. That's part of why it's called a practice, and it's part of the practice. Oh, a thought, it's coming through my head. I see it. I'm going to just let it go, or I'm going to follow it. And then I'm going to come back to my breath, or I'm going to come back to the sound of the meditation teacher's voice, or the sound of the music, the meditation music I'm listening to, which are all valid ways of doing a meditation. Again, people think that meditation is sitting on a mat, cross-legged for an hour at a time in an ashram setting and just sitting still and not thinking about anything. And yeah, that's a form of meditation, but there are so many others, and it's a matter of finding what works for you. Just like everybody has their favorite type of coffee or their favorite type of tea, find what works for you. And so I help clients do that, like figure out, what is it? Is it maybe it's walking in nature and without your electronics? Okay. So again, that's a distracting thing. Can you put your phone down for 5 or 10 minutes and sit and listen to, there's an app I love. It's called Insight Timer, and it's free. You can download it. Hundreds of thousands of meditations. So you can find guided or just music or bells or whatever you want to listen to. Or you could not take your phone and you can just go walk in nature. What if you live in an urban area? Just go out and walk and pay attention to the sounds that you're hearing. It's about getting in touch with your senses and allowing things to come in and go out. So it's not completely clearing your mind, but you're creating a pathway. Wayne Dyer, I love this quote. Wayne Dyer had said that prayer is us talking to God and intuition is God talking to us.
I believe in that.
Yeah. The only way you really hear that intuition or those messages or whatever is to allow yourself the space to not always be plugged in, to not always be in front of Netflix, to not always be running from one thing to another.
And and I think some people also may be reluctant to do this because they feel that doing this disconnects them from their higher power or their belief system. Meditating or anything, because they're like, oh no, it's against my religion or something. But this is the way I perceive it. I perceive it as, like you said, Wayne Dyer said that when you quiet yourself, you can hear messages, either whatever your belief system be, whether your intuition, whether getting into that particular part of your brain that we don't use, or whether it's God saying, this is what you do next.
Yeah. And it doesn't really matter what that is. Like, is it God talking to me? Is it my own voice talking to me? Where is this message coming from? I don't think it matters. The fact is you're getting a message, and whether you think you're making it up in your head or it's coming from God or your higher power or the universe, whatever you want, whatever term you'd like to use, it doesn't matter. I believe it's all the same source. And as far as against your religion, every religion believes that we have a higher power. How do we connect with that higher power? In many religions, it's through prayer. How does a higher power connect with you? It's about getting quiet, like we just said. I don't see meditation in opposition to religion in any way. I think most religions have some form of meditation, whether they call it that or not is different, but it exists. Why do you have the Sabbath in many religions? And it's a day, traditionally, it's a day to rest, put away your phones, pay attention to your community, to your family, to your God. And so meditation is just a form of being able to do that on a daily basis.
I think it's sort of, I don't practice meditation. I feel like I do need to, but I think it's sort of like, I feel like taking a shower. It's cleansing, it's refreshing. If you do it, I think that we may realize that a lot of the unknown or a lot of the things that we're seeking answers for, we have them, but we just haven't quieted ourselves down to be able to listen to our own self or whatever your belief is that gives you the answers that you're seeking.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. So you said you're not good at meditation, or you feel like you should be practicing it. Why do you say that?
Well, because I'll admit it. I have adult ADD, adult attention deficit disorder. And so I constantly have things running in my head. It's hard for me to get quiet because, for example, when I go to bed, sometimes I get woken up because the things just wake me up because it's always busy. And so the only way for me to be able to quiet down is I need to take my medication. I take medication for my ADD. And so when I'm on my medication, it just allows me to be able to focus on one thing at a time. And so when I try to quiet myself from all interruptions, whether it's the internet, the TV, everything, I feel like there's more thoughts racing in my head. As opposed to when I've heard of meditation, it's just kind of like a brain dump, quiet.
Yeah.
And so if a thought pops up, you're supposed to, no, this is my meditation time. Push it away because this is supposed to be my quiet Zen time.
That's the biggest myth around meditation, or misconception, or both, is that that's not necessarily true, that you have to shove the thoughts away. You can allow them to float through. You don't have to do it in silence either. This is why I love guided meditations, because the guide, the voice, the meditation teacher's voice, you could be paying attention to that. So you're still doing something, but you're not being bombarded with all the thoughts. And the thoughts, again, they'll still come and go. But part of what makes you more focused when you're out of a meditation, when you're doing something, trying to be productive, is that practice of catching the thoughts. When you're in a meditative, you're doing a whatever, guided meditation, whatever, and the thoughts are coming in and you're going, oh yeah, I see that thought. Oh, I'm going to come back to the meditation teacher's voice. I'm going to come back to thinking about my breathing, focusing on the breath coming in and going out. Every time a thought comes, and it could be every 3 seconds, but every time, and you refocus yourself to what you would prefer to be paying attention to, and you refocus when you're out of a meditation and you're trying to work on something, you have now trained your brain to keep refocusing back on what you're working on, and it makes you more productive.
Okay. Because like I said, when I feel like I am getting the most thoughts is when I'm in the shower. And so I told my husband when we first got married, we've been married almost 12 years. I said, you know what I want? I want a fountain. I want a fountain because there's so much peace in that water.
Yeah.
because I get thoughts when I hear water, and I feel like I'm robbing myself because I can only get those thoughts in the shower, and I'm in California. We're supposed to conserve water. And so I said, so can you buy me a fountain so that when I feel stressed, I can just go outside and listen to my fountain, because I just feel like just like my shoulders are up here. And then I go outside and I listen to the fountain, and all of a sudden they drop, and I can come back inside and face whatever it was that had my shoulders up against my ears.
Okay. So do you not consider that a form of meditation?
I guess I never did.
Well, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever tried breath work?
I have a Samson watch. No, I'm not promoting for Samson, but I do have a Samson watch. And there is a stress app on it. And so this week, what I've been doing is measuring my stress level. And what I noticed is, because I was kind of displeased earlier this week because I saw that I was in the yellow, because it's got green, yellow, red. And I was in the yellow, and I'm like, I am not stressed out. What should I be stressed out about? I'm not stressed out. And what I noticed is, because I was preparing I knew I was going to meet with you, and we were going to talk about. And so I thought, I'm going to do some breath work. And so I started focusing on my breath while I'm running the app on my watch. And I noticed that if I don't look at it and I focus on my breath, when I look at the results, I'm in the green.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at it and just like kind of sitting there, just waiting for it to finish measuring my stress, I'm within yellow and red, and it comes out to where I'm in the orange. And so I noticed that the breath work, focusing on my breath, keeps me in the green. And so I thought, you know what? I need to put this on my calendar to take a little time out and do some breath work.
Yeah. When you're focusing on your breathing, even for just 3 minutes can have a big impact on your whole physiology, your mental and physical, how your body is working. You're oxygenating your brain and your blood system, and everything is getting calmed down. Your nervous system is just like, okay, all right, calm down. It's all good. In just 3 minutes. Because that's another thing I hear a lot of times is, well, I don't have time to meditate. Because people think you need to do it for an hour a day or longer. And you don't. Even 3 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes is better, but you're still going to get results. I mean, come on. Who doesn't have 3 minutes a day for yourself?
That's nothing.
Yeah. And yeah, there's so many really good breathwork programs now, especially, which I like recommending for people who do have trouble getting quiet, who maybe have been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD. Breathwork is a more active way of just clearing your whole system. I interviewed this guy. He's actually, we've become friends. His name is Leland Holgate, and he was episode 85 on my podcast. And he talks about how he has a breathwork program that he's developed, but he talks about how breathwork physically healed him. He was in a boating accident and he was quadriplegic. Doctors told him he needed to deal with it, learn how to manage. And his physical therapist that was assigned to him in the military was a yogi. And yoga is more about the breath than the postures. It's both, but it's much more about the breath. 2 years later, he was fully functional because of breath work.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so now he's developed his own program, and you don't have to be a quadriplegic to use it.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about this because I interviewed another lady named Karen Church, who is a wellness coach. And she just talked about how eating the proper foods heals your body. And so I've been thinking about the interview I had with her. And then I thought, you know what? Before medicine, our bodies, our ancestors, their bodies healed themselves in whatever it was. And so our bodies are an amazing science because it can heal you as long as you use it the way it's supposed to be used. Breath work reduces your stress, Eating the proper foods heals certain organs or helps like the filter function properly, and you start to feel better.
Right. And when you put yourself in the right environment, I mean, all of these things are factors. And when I say the right environment, like put yourself around people who think bigger thoughts, who are more positive and not, always woe is me, the Eeyores of the world. When you hang out with people who think more joyfully, you become like them. And it's good for not only good for your mental health, it's good for your physical health.
That's a community, an inspiring community that you can lean on, because maybe today I don't feel good, but I could say, hey, Lori, let's chat. And then you're talking about all this good stuff. And because you and I have spoken and you've given me all this good stuff that's happened, your positive energy, at least in my thoughts, would come to me. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling good again, even though I had a situation that didn't make me feel good. But you're part of my community. And so it's become infectious.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how energy works. And I was going to say something, but I don't want to get all controversial about energy and infection. But that is how it works. Energy is transmitted, and it's very strong when you're physically in somebody's space. It's like when you walk into a room and you can just feel like something's off here, or it feels really good. You can feel it even when you're not physically present, when you're on a Zoom screen, when you're talking to somebody on the phone and you're not physically in their space, you can still feel. Energy does not require physical proximity.
Yeah. Or if somebody comes to me and they're like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, because they're around people that have that negative energy. What I always tell them is I say, hey, you know what? Go on Netflix or whatever platform you have and find the most dumbest movie out there. I mean, slapstick, funny, dumb, because you need to laugh and you can't surround yourself with the people that you need to be around. So put it on the TV. I mean, that's always my medicine.
Yeah. Well, remember back in the day, there was a guy named Norman Cousins, and what was his book? He had The Anatomy of Illness, but he had something that was about laughing, like how laughter was the best medicine, something to that effect. But yeah, it's and it's true. It changes your physiology.
Yeah, and that's why the entertainment community does make these stupid movies, because we need them. Because sometimes we just need to laugh, and it needs to be something that is just going to guarantee a laugh.
Right. Yeah.
So you have two programs. You have F Being Fine and Custom Meditation.
I do create custom meditations, customized gratitude meditations. So the way these work is that I have my clients fill out a form and it asks a whole bunch of questions, but the main piece of what I'm getting at is what has happened in the past that you're grateful for? What do you currently have in your life that you're grateful for? And what are you manifesting, or what goals are you looking to achieve? And then I put together the meditation. I put healing frequency music underneath the guided part. And I'm taking people through feeling gratitude, because we can be grateful. Like we can go through the motions and say, yeah, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful I have a warm bed to sleep in. You just like go through it, but without any real emotion or feeling attached to it. Okay, that's better than not acknowledging. At the same time, the feeling is what magnetizes, is what like really elevates your energy. So I take people through feeling, remembering what it felt like to have those things in the past, those experiences or those physical things, whatever it is. And then what does it feel like to have them right now? What you have in your life what can you feel grateful for? And sometimes people are like, but I don't know what gratitude feels like. I'll tell you what gratitude feels like joy. Most people know what that feels like. So it's the same. Feel it right now, what you feel. And then let's apply that same feeling to what you are manifesting. So a lot of people have trouble. How do I feel gratitude for something that hasn't come, I don't have yet? It's that feeling gratitude for it as if you already have it that magnetizes it, that makes it come to you faster. It's that feeling. That sounds kind of crazy. And again, there's science behind how this works. It is not made up magic.
So that's your customized meditation.
Yeah, the customized gratitude meditations. And then I also have recently, I mentioned the networking program. So now that everybody's back out at events and stuff again, I revised and re-released the networking program. So that starts with a book, and that's also available on my website, called How to Feel Comfortable, Confident, and Courageous at Networking Events.
And I think a lot of us need that. Especially because we've been kind of locked up for, what was it? Almost, depending on what part of the country.
Couple years.
3 years. Yeah. I'm in California. We're barely now going out and taking off our mask. And some people are still kind of scared. And so I think that's important, your program.
Right. So yeah, $7 book available on the website under the networking tab.
That's cheap.
Yeah,
That's cheap.
it is.
There's so much value in a low ticket item.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where, zenrabbit.com is my website. That's where people can find me, find all the things. I also have a free PDF download, the 5 easy ways to start living a sabbatical life.
And you would know because you just did it.
Yep.
Yeah. Any future projects coming up?
I always have future projects going on. I've got a program coming out very soon, like next week, maybe. It's called Staying Calm in Chaos. It's an audio program. So it's not a like group. It's a do it on your own.
All right. Well, Lori, thank you so much for coming on the show. I will make sure to include all of your links to all your programs and how people can find your podcast, how they can find you on the web, and my show notes.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Don't you just love Lori's energy and smile? This was an amazing interview. Lori has so much wisdom and insights. I think I'm going to have to ask her to come back on the show. I felt like a sponge just soaking up all her valuable information. Lori's information, along with today's transcripts, can be found at createthebestme.com/EP022. If you're interested in learning more about meditation or being fine, I strongly encourage you head on over to zenrabbit.com. And when you're done listening to this episode, why don't you head on over to Fine is a 4-letter word podcast. Lori publishes a new episode every Thursday, just like me. Again, thank you, Lori of Fine is a 4-letter word podcast and Zen Rabbit for sharing your valuable teachings and insights with us. If this episode resonated with you, please hit the subscribe button to stay updated. Join me next week when we'll dive into topics of relationship changes in midlife. This episode is packed with actionable steps, so be sure not to miss it. Until next time, keep dreaming big, take care of yourself, and remember you are beautiful, strong, and capable of creating the best version of yourself. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time. Bye for now.